Welcome, everybody. This is the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley, and every week we bring you the story of people who are making the world better locally, globally, and digitally. We're part of Rotary International, 1.2 million people around the world, 36,000 clubs. Our club's model is a bit of an unusual one. It's highly flexible. How flexible? We are both online and asynchronous. Our members can take in their meetings anytime between Monday morning and Sunday night. We gather the content, we post it to a particular page for the week, and that's one of the reasons we get a chance to talk with people all over the world because we've recorded these things and set them up to be a part of our offerings. That excites us, as does the opportunity to talk with somebody local this time around. Our speaker this week is DeAnna Pursai. She is a proud dual Rotarian. She is a member of one club and an honorary member of another, which is a kudos and style points kind of thing. She's here in District 5170 in the San Francisco Bay Area, and she is very passionate about the environment. She has made all kinds of great things happen and helped other people make all kinds of great things happen. And I love that we have got someone who really lives the Rotary way as a part of what we're offering this week. DeAnna, welcome to the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley. I hand the mic over to you.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me as your program speaker. This is amazing, Mr. Rushman Hurley. I really appreciate it, and the amazing Rotarians from your club who are on the call. So, yeah, I'm DeAnna Pursai, and I am a proud Rotarian since 2015 in San Jose, California, with the San Jose Rotary Club. And then my working job is supporting adults with disabilities and giving them higher education opportunities. And my college shifted to Saratoga, California, right before the pandemic. And the Saratoga Rotarians graciously welcomed me into their club as kind of a dual member. And it's been amazing. I love visiting two clubs every week. They're very different, and they're both, what we have in common is they're both amazing clubs with amazing people doing great work and really living the service above self motto. So my role here in District 5170 is I've been the Climate Action Chair for the last 3 years. And so this is a part of the presentation that I gave at our club, at our district conference back in May. And I welcome all questions after the presentation. So here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and just start out a little bit with my story to paint the picture as far as why this is an important area for me. So back in 2015, when I joined Rotary, I also became, pretty aware of what was happening with our Earth and the rising global temperatures that I've certainly seen in my lifetime. And I'm a mom of two amazing children, and I really am fighting to make sure that they have the same beautiful environment that I had growing up. And I saw this slide in particular soon after I joined Rotary. And it's the global land and ocean temperatures overall collectively since 1880 to 2020. And I looked at that last year that the temperatures were kind of under the norm, and I realized that I was alive at that time. And not only was I alive, but I actually remembered a really distinct memory from my childhood of this year. And so I grew up in Bluffton, Indiana, which is south of Fort Wayne, pretty rural, and we lived on a farm. Although other folks farmed our land, my dad was a realtor and an auctioneer. But I remember that year, I loved to go barefoot in our backyard, and I loved running around in the mud. And I remember that spring, I'm telling you, I was walking in my backyard, kind of where this picture is with my brother and sister right there. And I'll tell you, I felt the only way I can explain it is I felt the earth sigh, and it was like a happy sigh. And I loved standing there in the mud and just enjoying that beautiful experience. And I just am really concerned that I just want my children to have these same beautiful experiences with our earth, and I'm worried. So when I joined, I absolutely love Rotary because I really believe in the four-way tests of, is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? And so when I'm not, I've started a college for adults with disabilities because of my sister who has a disability, who's the smarter one of the two of us growing up for sure. And the other love of my life are my children. And so when I'm not trying to help them, I'm helping the environment through Rotary. So in 2020, Rotary International actually adopted the environment as its seventh area of international focus. And that was because of some amazing leaders that established the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group. I was able this last year when I went to Calgary to meet one of the co-founders, Karen Hendrick Hans, and her husband, who've worked tirelessly. I believe they're in Minnesota, and they helped get the environment as the seventh area of focus. And so I love being part of Rotary in this capacity. And with the environment, they have 6 areas of focus, from biodiversity to circular economy to the climate to the food systems, pollution, sustainable living. Yes, excuse me. And so I just love leaning in and supporting, projects the Rotary way through the environment. And so let me tell you a little bit. So this was our Climate Action Summit from the Los Altos Rotary Club last year that was led by Sherry Auerbach. It was completely sold out. And later in the presentation, I'll share the new one that's coming out this coming January of 2026 back at Los Altos. So this was a really lovely way. What I love most is there is a lot of environmental groups around the Bay who were younger generations that were doing great climate work, and we all got to get together and learn and share together. So this was part of the day at the summit. We have, let's see, Mr. Steve Bender, was he in here? He is our chair of the ESRAG BigWest. There's 13 globally. And so this was just a glorious day last year, and it was our inaugural climate summit. And the Rotarians here, this is a project that's helping to collect hard to recycle plastic film, and they work with this organization called Nextrex, and they've actually mentored the Saratoga Club. So now we've started our own Nextrex collection, and so this was a very proud day. Last year, for the first time, our district got an anonymous $5,000 grant for Earth Day mini grants. And so we put it out there, and we had a $500 grant for just an individual club. We had $1,000 grants when 2 clubs came together to work on a project. And then we issued 1,250 for clubs in our district that were just beginning environmental committees. So from that, we had the Rotary Club of Alameda. They had a sapling tree giveaway day up in Alameda. Rotary Club of Star Silicon Valley, the environmental committee did a lithium ion battery recycling day. And they were really mentored by the Los Altos Rotarians and Miss Clarine Nolette, who's on the board at the SRAG level, who started this lithium-ion battery project with Redwood Materials. Our club here in San Jose, we had a Coyote Valley Agroecology Coalition River Cleanup Day and Regenerative Farming Day. That was one amazing day, and that's our Rotarian Alri Middlebrook, who is a fierce leader in our community working on urban farm projects. The Gilroy Sunrise Club. They had a plastic-free Gilroy initiative where they bought a whole lot of Rotary branded bags that they're giving out in their rural community to get away from the plastic bags. Our Rotary Club of Piedmont, Montclair, with Sarah Linda Jackson, they had a cleanup of Lake Merritt Day. The Santa Cruz Sunrise Rotary Club did a coastal habitat restoration day, which was amazing. And then I'd like to share with you some of the other club projects that are happening right now. And basically my goal is at the district level is just to make sure everybody shares their ideas and shares resources and learns about various projects that you could do. So Los Altos, again, has just a shining light in District 5170. And these are all the different projects just the Environmental Committee is doing. Sherry Auerbach and Tammy Mulcahy and Clarine Nolette and Arlie Marley, they're all just doing amazing work with Los Altos. Cupertino with Steve Lefevre, they have an amazing, dynamic, vibrant environmental committee up there. And they do solar power work with this organization called Sunwork, where they're trained to put solar panels on charities. And the solar installations, they have some bike racks that are Rotary branded that have just been positioned all over the city of Cupertino. They have regenerative farming projects going on right now. They do community harvest, and they volunteer at Hunger at Home with food distribution. Our club in San Jose, we've been doing these Go Green climate action learning communities where we get together and go through some videos. And so that's a really nice low-hanging fruit with these Go Green climate action committees that are part of cities. And then it's part of, I think, Bright Action. There's an app. And so it's a really fun way to talk about the climate. And then we worked with Xerces and did a native pollinator habitat distribution day. So that was a lot of fun. And we got some really nice awards. This is the Honorable Rod Diridon Sr., who got an award from the city of San Jose. And our Climate Action Committee got an award. And so that was quite lovely. Palo Alto University with Don McKenzie, they do amazing work. They work with the Kiwanis up there and different organizations within Palo Alto to come together. And they have a First Friday recycling day where they've put out bright yellow bags, and they have Rotarians bring in hard to recycle items the first Friday club meeting. And Oakland Rotary 3 with Dr. Joel Parrott, they do amazing work up there with some tree planting, and they work with the city to get a Rotary branded thing called a water buffalo, actually, where it's like the heat islands in Oakland. When they're planting the trees, they have to make sure they have enough water. And so Dr. Joel Parrott helped get this big, huge tank of water that was Rotary branded called a water buffalo. And here's my co-club, the Saratoga Rotary Club, Nancy and Mr. Phil Young, and they have the Los Altos Rotarians come in and share about the next treks. And so now we bring in our hard to recycle plastics as well every Friday, and they're amazing Rotarians. So our district meets, our district climate action champions, we meet the second Wednesday of each month over Zoom from 4:30. And the idea is to share resources, project ideas, and to build camaraderie. And we indeed are going to begin a Go Green learning community online starting in January that I'm really excited to share about. We talk about program speakers. So these are all Rotarians who have spoken, And we're always building to this on this list. So there are some really lovely speakers that you could have come in. That's a really nice way to think about ideas about the environment. We share lots of resources. And these are living on our district website now. So there's ESRAG, there's Project Drawdown that really mentored us as we were getting started, and some beautiful resources that can just help if you're just leaning into this idea. And then Dr. Catherine Hayhoe, who's one of the leading climate scientists, she actually was one of the keynote speakers in Calgary at the Rotary International Conference. And this is kind of the motto that I live by with her TED Talk. She said that the most important thing you can do to fight climate change is simply to talk about it. And so I proudly wear my Rotary button every day. And my goal is to have a climate conversation with someone every day, anybody random. And most days I'm proud to say I do have those conversations and I love to talk about it. Here is for people coming up, they can join Zoom. This is our second annual Climate Action Summits that is being sponsored by the Rotary Club of Los Altos. And there's the speakers, and it's going to be on Saturday, January 10th from 11:45 to 4. And I'm really excited to share about this environment. Here's a screenshot of where all of the resources live at District 5170. So I love to share and connect. And so it's right here under the district. It's a district committee, and we have our Climate Action Committee. And to summarize, this is on the footer of my email signatures. We don't inherit the earth from our ancestors, but we borrow it from our children. And that's what I think about every day. I love my children with all my heart and soul. And I'm going to fight to do everything we can through Rotary to ensure that, that our earth remains sustainable and livable and flourishing for all of our future generations. So that is essentially my presentation.
Fantastic, DeAnna. All right. Well, let's introduce the group that we've got on the recording. 3 members of our club, in addition to me. From Eastern Italy is our treasurer, Cecilia. Tucson area, our current champion of the annual Ugly Sweater Contest. Well done, sir. That's Dave. On Catalina Island, we have a park ranger, perfect for today, Ernie. I am in San Jose, and absolutely jazzed to walk into our Q&A space on this because there's so many cool things that I think we can look at. I want to start with this. So. In talking about your experience, you talk about your childhood. You have that really powerful story of I felt the earth sigh. That gets you from an experiential place to wanting to do something about environmental issues. For someone who has never had such a moment, what are the kinds of questions? What are the kinds of topics that tend to help people get in that space of like, okay, yeah, we do borrow this from our children. What is it that gets us there?
Sure. I think for each individual, it's something different. And so that's kind of the beauty is that this world that we live in, we're all kind of impacted by the environment. And so for some people, it's gardening. I had my hair done. So I like a little color in my hair. I tell people it takes 10 years off with the color. But so my hairstylist is a gardener, and she was just sharing how the seeds aren't germinating and sprouting like they usually do. And so I was able just to say, yeah, it's kind of weird, and wow, the seasons are changing. So for some people it's their passions, and people just I love Dr. Hayhoe's book called Saving Us, where we don't need to club people over the head that you must do this, that, or the other, but we have to meet people where they are and say, yeah, man, that it's really weird that, it's November and there's still roses that are blooming on the vines. And that's usually not happening in the Bay Area right now. It's kind of weird. And just starting to have people say, wow. And the charts out there are super scary. The one that I saw that one chart, and that is what did it to me. But that's how my brain works. That I don't think my children will see it. But if people are like, nope, nope, don't deal with it. I say, if you have children in your life or you have loved ones, and you put yourself in their shoes and you look at what the world might become if these trends don't reverse, or if we can't get them under control, what's the world going to look like to them? And to just starting out and having, who are the people that you care about in your lives, and what does the world look like from their perspective?
Well, I think even if you don't have children, if you understand the relationship between the changing climate and the shift politically of people, right? People are having to move out of certain areas because they no longer livable. That creates conflict in spaces where people are now competing for resources. That creates instability in the markets. I mean, there's all sorts of like self-serving reasons to
Totally.
want to be helping the economy. Dave, you've got a question. Go ahead and unmute and ask yours.
Hi. Yeah, thank you for your presentation. It's very interesting. Could you expand a little bit about, you were mentioning an effort with the club, or one of the clubs, to discourage the use of plastic bags by, I think, giving away Rotary branded, assume cloth bags. Can you
Cloth
expand a
bags.
little bit about how that
Yeah.
process worked?
Sure. It was Martha Martinez in Gilroy who's kind of leading the helm, as well as Don McKenzie in Palo Alto University. They did these bright yellow bags, and they call it the First Friday environmental bag. So that's more Rotary centered. But Martha has worked really hard. I think they bought a couple of thousand from this grant that they got of these branded recyclable bags, and she's been trying to go all over to the stores, the merchants in Gilroy, and just seeing if they can partner and hand them out. They've gotten a little bit more pushback, I think, on more the corporate, grocery stores, but the local ones have been, pretty excited to try to switch out from plastic. And so, I can put you in touch with her. She's an amazing Rotarian in Gilroy. I believe she is a board member of the Monterey Bay Aquarium organization, if I'm not mistaken. She's amazing. And I think they've had a lot of traction just giving out these Rotary branded bags.
Can I do a quick follow-up?
Of course.
So related to plastic bags, that really annoys me, the use of all these plastic bags. At a state level, do you have a suggestion for encouraging our legislators? I know some states have banned plastic bags. How do I get Arizona to at least consider doing that?
Sure. Well, I've recently joined this Citizens Climate Lobby, CCL, which is not Rotary, right? But they partner a lot with us. They're doing great work, and they have that legislative formula to, get on the docket of the agendas of the elected officials. It's called Citizen Climate Lobby. I believe it was also founded by a Rotarian, if I'm not mistaken. And I know Los Saltos is working closely with them on this climate summit. So legislatively, I can put you in touch with the people that are more active in that space. Tammy Mulcahy is on a passion. If you want to, like a really strong presentation, and I think she does them online, about what plastics are doing for the environment and all the microplastics and where the plastics actually go in the developing countries and all that. But I would recommend Citizens Climate Lobby, CCL.
Good info. And one of the things that I think is important is that in the environment that we have in our country, we're very quick to identify something as belonging to, say, one political side or the other. But when we talk about costs within communities, right? The cost of dealing with plastic. I think that gets us into an interesting, complicated space. So we spend a lot of money dealing with excess plastic and trash for sure, and being able to address that represents a help to the community. But I'm also interested in how the thinking goes within the climate movement about things like recycling plastic, period, right? Like recycling plastic uses a lot of water, right? And there's a lot of interesting discussion out there about, okay, how do we both address our plastics breaking down into microplastics causing health issues, all of these things, and also not spend ridiculous amounts of money that probably could be used in ways that might achieve the goal differently and for less cost, or at least that's generally the argument from that crowd. Can you share some thoughts on that front?
Well, I mean, I think there's no either or. And, the circular economy is where my brain was going. Like, let's just reduce. That's one of the, I think, the task force in Rotary at the international level within ESRAG is let's just reduce plastics altogether, and think about that mindset of a circular economy, that let's throw it away at all when in all of our areas, and reuse and repurpose, and so um I just, I don't know. I just think the more we can lean in on what we can do together and drill down, there's plastics for sure, but then there's the whole food element as well, where they say individually, that's one of the best things we can do collectively, individually, is to reduce our food waste. So it's part of a puzzle. And the more we can just lean in, I think that being from the world of disability, like, I don't see the divide that so many people, I don't plug into that, because I work with individuals on all sides of the political, spectrum. And it's possible. And I come from rural Indiana, which is a very different state than California. And I love the people, and the Rotarians in Indiana are really just as passionate, and that you just need to meet them where they are. But we all love our children, and we want to make it a better place. And so plastics, Tammy Mulcahy would have a more intelligent answer than I have. I would just say, they're even like the changing the electric cars, right? And how much energy is actually produced to get the batteries going, and what do we do with the batteries when we're done? There are no black and white issues, and it's coming together and authentically saying, hey, let's work together to figure this out. And it's so possible, because that's my whole world, is not seeing the divides, but figuring out to go beyond our differences and work together. That's all I've ever done, and it's totally possible. And that's why I love Rotary, because I love being with people that think differently than me and have different political values, but still want to work together to make the world a better place. I think that's why the world needs Rotary right now more than ever.
Cool. Well, I think that gets us into a topic that I'm really excited to explore. You talked about the environmental. Is it called the Environmental Summit, the January program?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that is an example of people getting together, just like you mentioned, and clubs coming together saying these are projects we're doing. And I'm especially excited about the possibility of highlighting those projects that take things to a next level. We actually had a team from the Cupertino Club talk about their solar panels for nonprofits in order to help them spend their funds better by spending less on their power bill,
Energy.
which
Yeah.
which is another level of awesome.
Yep.
Are you going to continue the mini grants into this next round that's happening in January? And will there be an opportunity to celebrate what younger people are doing? Maybe students, high school students, for example, in terms of projects that are fascinating for one reason or another.
Well, those are beautiful questions. The good news, I just found out that the anonymous $5,000 grant is coming back for District 5170. So that is wonderful. I was thinking it might be a one-time thing, but the old district governor or past district governor just said it's back. And I know that Sherry and the leadership team have been working really hard with the young ones up there in Los Altos and the Silicon Valley Youth Climate Action Committee, you know. And so, I've got to call in with District Governor Herb to another great idea I learned about when I went to Calgary at the international conference. Some districts are having climate action awards to nominate clubs. And so let's talk about how we can highlight clubs and then maybe the Interact or the Rotaract clubs and really highlight them either in Los Altos or in the springtime around Earth Day with these mini grant awards. And maybe we could designate some for the younger, the Interactors and the Rotaractors that are doing climate work. So yes to all.
Well, as a guy who teaches a course called to high schoolers called Creative Solutions for the Global Good, we get some nice projects from the students. One of the ones this year is from a student named Rohan, and his thing was, hey, I've got all of these neighbors that have fruit trees, and the fruit falls and goes bad, right? And he's
Yep.
like, there are people out there who are hungry. And so he
Yep.
started working on systems for working with his neighbors and picking those up and taking it, like learning where to take them, having a giveaway at a local farmer's market, things like this. And I'm excited about ideas like that. And so the opportunities that we have, you talked about, celebrating climate action through awards. As we see it in our club, one of the jobs we have is to share those stories that might get other people particularly excited about what they can accomplish in their club
Their
in their
community.
district all over the
Yep.
world. Right, right, right.
All over the world.
All over the world. So is there a project that for you is a project or and probably there's dozens of them that for you is like that's another level of interesting. They're doing something different. They're
Mhm.
connecting with people. They're partnering with people in a way that's
Mhm.
especially cool. What might stand out for you on that front?
On that front, what Cupertino is doing in all the different areas. I love the bike racks. I personally, the branded bike racks. I often think because I'm kind of a suburban minivan mom, and how do we think differently about fossil fuels and getting out of our cars and stuff? And I love seeing Rotary branded in the community. That just jazzes me. And when I travel around the world, I love to take pictures with my Rotary, with the symbols, and it makes me feel connected. And so that jazzes me a lot is to let's brand in the community and let's talk about reducing fossil fuels. So that's personally a big one. I would say reading Dr. Hayhoe's book Saving Us really helps me because she lives in Levitt, Texas, and her thing is going to these conservative places head on, and she just doesn't shy away. And she's a conservative Christian. She's a scientist and she's a Christian, and she's like, we can figure this out together. And it's like not a one size fits all. It's like, look around in your community and what's the issue and how can we get together. And again, that's Rotary. And so I think we're not going to solve it on our own, but when we can partner with the youth, with the Kiwanis, and with the Citizens Climate Lobby and be a part of the solution, Rotarians can lead the way for sure.
I think that's a beautiful place to wind down the recording. What we'll do is we'll do kind of the standard final messages, and then I'll hand it back to you. For all of you who've taken your time to see what it is that we've got going, to find out like the people we've been talking to that we've been able to connect with who are sharing stories of really fascinating ways to improve their communities, to give people hope who need it, to see how vexing problems can be addressed when we take it out of the hands of those people who would use the divisions for political purposes in order to get something done. I think somebody much wiser than me once said that those who say something can't be done should get out of the way of the people who are getting them done, right? So love that Rotary is inspiring that in you and in all of us. As we always like to do, we hand it back to the speaker for the final word. DeAnna, what would you like people to have clearly in their mind as they finish this video or this podcast?
Thanks for zooming in. Rotary is about service above self. It's global. The environment is the seventh area of focus. I'm astounded by all of the projects that local clubs are doing. You can find them on the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group website. And don't hesitate to reach out, because I love to connect people with other people that have similar passions, and our children are worth fighting for.
Amen. We will see you next week.